How much of a challenge do you think it would be for your baby to learn 2 or even 3 languages at once? Well, let's take a look at that. I'm Tara Tuck, and I help parents, preschool teachers, and all of you who care for young children to learn everything you need to know about speech and language, the most important part of child development. Let's start this video by asking the question, why should I be interested in learning about bringing my child up with more than one language if we only speak one language at home, and that's the dominant language of my country? My child can speak that language and get along just fine. Well, in this video, I'm going to tell you why you might consider doing that, if at all possible, and how absolutely amazing young children's brains are for learning a number of languages all at once. And at the end of this video, I'll go over some ways that you can raise your child to be truly bilingual. I'm a speech and language pathologist and the author of The Joy of Language, the Guide to Language and Learning for Parents and Caregivers. I've given you that link below. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos like this and visit my website. Nowadays, there are so many families moving from country to country that parents and teachers need to be knowledgeable about how to encourage children to speak more than one language. Young children are often expected to be fluent in one language at home and another language at school, sometimes even serving as a translator for parents. Families have questions about the best way to prepare their children to live within 2 or more languages, and frequently within more than one culture. Many parents, though, would just like their children to speak more than one language. For instance, being bilingual or multilingual is often sought after as a qualification for employment in today's world. And there are so many cognitive benefits of knowing more than one language. I'll get into all the benefits in this video. As I've explained in some of my other videos, one of the most important aspects of language development is called metalinguistic awareness, the ability to think about language and to use it well. Since children who have the opportunity to interact in more than one language hear the differences in vocabulary and sentence structure, they have more of an awareness of the use of different sounds and different words and sentences. You can imagine how helpful this becomes when asked to listen to sounds and words and to learn new vocabulary in elementary school, or in some countries it's primary school. And when your child gets to higher grades, this awareness can really contribute to your child's writing ability. Exposure to another language early in life can also make it easier to learn additional languages later in life. While the brain is developing for language, the more the language areas are stimulated, the stronger and more flexible they become. When a child learns more than one language simultaneously in a bilingual household, this process is actually called language acquisition rather than language learning. But instead of acquiring only one language, she's acquiring more than one language. Acquisition is when a child hears language in many different situations throughout the day, and the language is used for communication, not the kind of language that you hear on TV. So emphasis is on natural communication, not on the form of language, the way many high school language courses are taught. Whether a language is acquired or learned later, though, it must be practiced and used in order to be sustained. If you were to learn a new language but never got to use it, you would forget most of it after a while, wouldn't you? Since I'm recording these videos in English, I will assume that most of you are English speakers, and I'll talk about English as being your first language. But of course, this information can be used for any home language or dominant language of the culture. So let's say your home language is not English, but most of the country's language is. Here's what you need to know. First of all, parents have asked me if they should always try to speak English at home, even if they're not good at it. Well, sometimes increased English at home is not really helpful, especially if parents are uncomfortable speaking English, and it may actually inhibit the development of good language skills. Children need to hear fluent language, any language, in order to acquire it. So it's better for a child to acquire one language well than not to be fluent in any language. Then once a child's brain has acquired one language, he can then learn literacy skills, which requires language knowledge. So please speak and read to your child in the language you know well, but also in a second language if you can. Now, if you only speak one language, there can be other ways to encourage your child to be bilingual. If they offer a foreign language at your child's elementary school, or if you can enroll your child in a language course, that would be great. Younger children often have fun learning a new language, and they're not embarrassed by mispronouncing words or being grammatically incorrect. When students are older, though, they often take fewer risks. And naturally, there are individual differences, as in all learning. But young children's brains do acquire the sounds of more than one language more naturally. Adults also have a tendency to analyze new ways of doing things, so they're usually more self-conscious than children. They may be more reluctant to try out being Spanish or English or a French speaker. Now, how about families that don't speak English at home but are sending their children to an English-speaking preschool? Well, their children learn the new language quickly. Well, at first they'll speak their home language, of course. But after they realize their home language isn't working very well in that environment, they'll usually become silent for a while. This gives them a chance to observe and to learn some words in English. Soon, though, they'll begin to try out these new words and phrases, using a combination of English and their home language. If they're in a supportive and friendly environment, which of course we hope they will be, teachers and other children will encourage them to speak and interact with them in the new language. So preschool is a great place to learn and practice a new language. For one thing, the desire to play with other children is really motivating, and young children are generally very accepting of language differences. They just overlook any errors if they notice them at all. And children find many ways to communicate with words and gestures and pointing and sharing and just having fun together. Of course, it's great if a preschool teacher speaks the child's native language, but if you enroll your child in a preschool where teachers speak both your language and another language, your child, like all the others in the preschool, will be learning two languages. For example, if there are some children who are Spanish speaking, the teacher can use some Spanish words. She can provide children's books in Spanish, label items in the room in both Spanish and English, use both Spanish and English words while reading stories, play Spanish music, play videos in which characters speak both Spanish and English. There's a tremendous benefit to exposing English-speaking children to another language, but the teachers should really focus on language, not just speak an unfamiliar language quickly without also teaching it. And there are some elementary classrooms that are called dual language or two-way immersion classes. Half the day, the teachers speak English, and during the other half of the day, they speak Spanish. So all the children become bilingual. They're wonderful programs. So here are some ways you can help your child acquire another language, and you might be able to learn another language yourself. First of all, if you speak another language at home, but at least one parent speaks English or whatever is the language of your country, have one parent usually speak in one language and the other parent in the second language. Research has shown that this strategy works really well, and your child will quickly learn which language to speak with which parent. After asking a question, leave enough response time for your child to formulate the answer in the same language. We all need extra time to think when learning something new, and becoming anxious just delays the learning process. Use a lot of prosody, gestures, body language, and good facial expressions in both languages. Remember how important all this is for real person-to-person communication. We don't just speak with our voice. And of course, always encourage and be enthusiastic about attempts at speaking in each language. Learn with your child. Kids love to see their parents trying something that's a little challenging. And if you're not bilingual yourself, you can still encourage your child to learn another language at the same time that you're learning it yourself. You can arrange play dates with children who speak one or the other of your languages. Watch how the children learn to communicate with each other. Provide books, videos, and music in each language. They're available in bookstores and libraries, and there are a lot of free programs on the internet. You can also get some household items that illustrate each language, like placemats or posters, toys, plates with that language written on them. And when she uses them, she'll be reminded of both languages quite a few times during the day. Also point out cognates. These are words that are similar in both languages, like market in English and mercado in Spanish. This is a great opportunity for you to learn words in each language also. And with older preschoolers, label items in the house in both languages. Also suggest that to preschool teachers if they don't already do it. And use the activities that I've suggested throughout this video series in 2 languages. Language is language, and we want our children to love it all. Now, please write to me in the comments below, ask me questions, give me suggestions. Also, please subscribe to my channel and visit my website, thejoyoflanguage.com. And tell your friends, relatives, preschool teachers, babysitters about my book that explains it all, and of course about my videos. And I'll see you in the next one.